Quasi here, and in today's video, I want to share with you how I went from this full-time career that I had, transitioned out, and grew a business that now does over $1 million a year without actually ever believing in myself. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, but I want you to stick around to the very end of this video because I want to clarify out what belief is and understand what actually brings belief about and why you actually don't need it to succeed and what you actually do need. Before I begin this video, I want to quickly announce that I made a brand new bootcamp for you. If you just go down to the link in the description below, I'll pin it up. You can click on it, get access to our exclusive email list, and you'll get access to bonuses that I can't really share on the channel, as well as the identity shifting bootcamp. So just scroll down, go to the pinned comments, and you'll be able to access it there. So without further delay, let's go right ahead and get started. Today, I want to talk to you about belief versus faith and why most people fail to believe and why believing doesn't actually work and what actually does. Right? So the biggest problem I see and what really inspired me to make this video is this obsession with trying to get yourself to believe something, right? So the biggest problem right now is everyone is trying to do something, some affirmation or some visualization or some meditation to help them believe in something they have no belief in. And I want to share with you why that's the most BS and why that's the most ineffective way to get yourself to believe in something. And before I do that, let's go ahead and start with a workable definition of belief, right? So what do we mean and what the hell is a belief? Excuse my French. Belief can be loosely defined as the resolve, the resoluteness that you have in a set of assumptions, okay? So please understand this. Beliefs are a set of assumptions that we make about the world to help us operate in the world. Because we believe that we need to make these assumptions in order to, for convenience sake, right? So I'm going to define it for our purposes as resolve in assumptions based on, and this is the important part. So this is the resolve that you have in a set of assumptions based on reason plus experience. So please take a minute to reflect on this definition. All right, I'm going to move out of the way. I wish I could. Resolve in assumptions based on reason and experience. So I'm going to give you a minute to reflect on that and what this really means. If we accept this assumption, what it essentially means is every single belief that you hold to be true is based on reason or experience. So for example, if you believe that you're not good enough, it's because in the past you've experienced something that made you believe that you're not good enough. Or if you want to try out some project, right? You want to try something new and you have the idea of trying something new. With that old belief of I'm not good enough, you can make another belief that since I'm not good enough, I won't be good enough at this, right? Since I'm not good at writing, I won't make a good writer. Since I'm not good at finance, I won't make a good business person. Since I'm not good looking, I won't make a good camera presence. Whatever it is you wanna make. So with reason, we can make this inference. With these beliefs, we make these inferences, right? We can infer certain other things. That's how belief works. Belief works in the mind. This is what most people fail to understand. Belief works in the mind, and the mind works with experience, proof, anything that has to do with your sensory perceptions. So when you try to convince yourself of things that you have no proof of, you'll never believe it. If you keep trying to tell yourself that you're a millionaire and you don't see $1 million anywhere near you, you're not going to believe it, right? So there's that. And that's the number one problem why beliefs don't work. And that's also the biggest reason why when I started my business, I didn't try to convince myself of some false belief, right? I didn't try to convince myself that I was good at something or I was bad at something. I just let whatever it is be. And I just saw what could happen. I saw the potential. Okay? So belief is something that doesn't come first. There is something else that comes first that makes beliefs stick. Okay? So what most people do, and what we've been accustomed to do, is we look for the thing that comes at the end and we think that we should focus on that, not the invisible source of it, right? So for example, most people focus on tactics and strategies as opposed to mindset. And they don't, even though they know that mindset is actually something that could come first, but they look at the last thing, right? They look at the last thing in the chain, in the equation, that would lead to a direct result. So if we have an equation that says mindset plus strategy equals result, we know that mindset comes first, strategy comes second, and result comes third. We focus on the thing that gives the direct result, right? We don't see that mindset actually helps you get the right strategies and use them correctly. So because mindset isn't so sexy, we don't focus on it. We focus on the thing that will give us the direct result. So I want you to imagine it like this. Imagine you're chipping away at a wall, right? You're trying to break down some wall and you're chipping away at it. Focusing on strategies and focusing on belief is kind of like focusing on the last chip that brings down the whole wall without any consideration of the million chips that came before that, right? So that's the way I like to look at it. That makes sense of it for me. Now, don't get me wrong. Strategies are obviously very important, but it's only important in the context of a right mindset. If you give the wrong person the right things to do, like if you give a monkey a hammer, it won't know what to do with it, right? So that's how belief is. Belief is the thing that comes as a consequence of proof, right? But what brings the proof about in the first place? Let's talk about that. So the second part to belief is what gives potential to beliefs to come into play, right? And this brings me to faith. Now, if you are not religious, you will probably scorn at this faith, but this I don't mean in a religious context. I mean faith as, let me just define it. Faith is, how I like to define it, is the resolve that you have, same definition, resolve in assumption, but now your assumptions are not based on reason and experience anymore, but rather they're based on hope and trust. Based on hope and trust. Hope plus trust. Please don't give me shit if you can't see any of this and my handwriting's terrible. I'm trying my best here. So, faith is resolve in assumptions based on hope and trust. Without hope and without trust, nothing can happen. Without hope, without trust, the world is doomed. Without hope, without trust, there can be no potential for beliefs to come about. Please see this. So to give you an example of this, when you get into a new car and you start the ignition, you hope and you trust that the car won't explode on you. When you drive it out of the lot, you press on the accelerator and you then come to a traffic light and you press the brakes, you hope and you trust the brakes won't give up on you. It is hope and trust that makes the world go round. When you walk, you have hope and trust in your legs to carry you from point A to point B. Without hope and without trust, nothing can happen. This is always operating silently in the background. Right? So faith is what allows for beliefs to come in the first place. Faith essentially is, I don't know. It's openly admitting I don't know if it's going to happen, but I choose for it to. And in that sense, faith gives a big middle finger to your beliefs. Right? It says, I don't care if I believe it or not. I choose it, and somehow the belief and the things will take care of itself. Somehow it will happen. I don't know how. Faith gives up the reliance on mind, the dependence on mind. So right now in society, we've become very mind-centric. We're like very logical, we're very reason-based, we're thinking about and overthinking everything. And you can't do that when you're getting into a new endeavor. So when I started my business, I had no belief that I could do it. Seriously, no belief at all. I did have faith, however. I had this resolve in my assumption. I had this resoluteness in my decisions to have something. I chose it, therefore it came about. Anything that comes about in your life comes so because you make the choice to experience it. It's really as simple as that. But then somewhere along the way you start to doubt yourself and you start to focus on the wrong things and you get entangled, right? That's essentially what happens. So faith is what launches this new design. Belief is actually what grounds it. When you start to believe in something, you operate from that belief, right? You operate that, oh yeah, I'm this 100K a month business owner. And then it becomes easier to do 100K a month every single month because you have this certain belief, right? So the commonality in both belief and faith, which is what we all seek to get to, is this resolve in our assumptions, right? The key word is resolve. Having this resoluteness, unshakable resoluteness, that's what you want to get to. And that happens when you give up. That happens in faith when you give up needing to believe. You don't have to believe in anything. Believe literally means I don't know. So you might as well say I don't know. You might as well admit it. Because when you do humbly admit it, then you become open to receiving. Please see this. Out of every single client that I've worked with, the ones that became the most successful are the ones that always had this attitude of openness. The ones that were able to admit that, oh, wait a second, I don't know. You know, I think I know this and I think I know that. They let go of their prejudices and came into the program with an open mind, and then they scaled their businesses to the moon. Right? They took their mindset to the next level, and you know they've come out of it on the other side very, very successful. All of the successful people that you listen to, they're very humble, you know, and they become humble because they can admit, I don't know. When you can admit, I don't know, you become open to receiving, you become curious. And in this curiosity, you start to follow, you start to do uncomfortable things which expand your comfort zone more and more. The more you say, I know and I believe, the more closed off you become. That's why every single belief at a certain point will become a barrier. When you believe that you're a 100K a month business owner and you want to get to 200K a month, this 100K a month belief will get in your way, right? You won't be able to do the things that you need to do, be who you need to be, and have what you need to have in order to get to that next milestone, right? So that's essentially what I wanted to talk to you about today. The differences between faith and belief. How to cultivate more faith. We actually didn't discuss that. So I'm going to give you some keys to help you cultivate more faith. Let's talk about that. How does one cultivate more faith? How did I do it when I started off? Well, we discussed the main point, which is to openly admit, I don't know. To openly admit, I don't really know. I don't know realization. I don't know. If you can admit this, you can get closer and closer to developing this resolve in your assumption, in your choice to have something. Okay? Number 2 is to live outside your comfort zone. If you start to do things you've never done before, even as simple as brushing your teeth with your non-dominant hand, taking a different route to work, or just doing something you've never done before, eating cuisine you've never eaten before, traveling to a new place you've never traveled to. All of these things will help you get less and less ingrained in your beliefs and what you do already know. If you give up what you already know, you'll be able to experience what's not in your perception right now. Okay? Number 3, challenge yourself daily. So challenge yourself to learn a new skill, whether it be a new language, a new sport, anything new that challenges you, that kind of makes you uncomfortable, kind of like riding a bike for the first time. When you rode that bike for the first time, it was very uncomfortable, right? You just didn't know where was what, and you were afraid of falling, and you were just hyper aware. Kind of like taking a cold bath. You're hyper aware of every single sensation that happens. challenge yourself. And lastly, always have an eye on your vision. Visualize your ideal life and work on clarifying it every single day. Add little details to it. See what it is you really want. Build up on it. Erase it. Add new scenes to it. So visualize your ideal life. And what happens is when you visualize your ideal life as though it's happening right now and you're experiencing right now, it's already become a reality within you, without having to experience it in your sense perception. So the nervous system can't really tell the difference between what's real and what's imagined. If you have enough emotional intensity to your visualizations, it'll believe something is real. So that's the quickest way you can bridge that gap between faith and belief towards what you want. But the ideal thing is you want to have this resolve. You want to be open and you want to see what can happen at every single stage of the way. Right? So, with that, I conclude this video. Thank you so much for watching. I sincerely hope this was helpful. Leave me a comment letting me know what you thought of this, if you'd like me to make a follow-up of this. If you have any other video ideas, I'd love to know. If you're new to the channel, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Hit that little bell there so you're notified of any new video that I put out. And also, I'm excited to announce that if you've been trying to apply for the Reality Mastery Program, you can do so now. We have spots open in the calendar. So go down to the link in the description below to apply, fill up a short survey, and let's see if we can work together to help you take it to the next level. Now, who we typically work with are people who are business owners, people who are entrepreneurs who want to take their businesses and scale it up. And they've been stuck at a certain revenue level for a very long time. But the problem hasn't been tactics or strategies directly. But they're seeing that the strategic and tactical problems are appearing to be so because deep down they keep seeing this root cause, this internal problem starting to reflect out. They doubt themselves, they can't raise their prices, or they can't, they don't confidently present themselves, or any other internal struggle, and they haven't been able to get a permanent solution to that because they've been operating from the same place of being. If that sounds like you, I ask you to go down in the link in the comments below to apply. And I'll see you there. And also the free Facebook group is open for you to take advantage of. The link for that is also in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Till next time. Peace!